Hello and welcome back to Sapiens. It's been several days since the last time I recorded this. I have played a little bit, or more than a little bit I think I would say, off camera. I talked during the premiere of the last episode that I would do this small follow-up bit, and I know the music's a little loud here, but it's got such a nice swell that I want to jump in. I wanted to have it in there. But it's got such a nice... I made some different, some changes, made some building, did some work on the game, and I wanted to jump back in and show off what I've done and talk about what I've done a little bit, and then show off a couple of the other biomes just so we have a full view of this game as it stands right now. I left it up here on this screen also, other than the nice swell of the music, to talk about the updates. This is the first update that isn't just true bug fixing. Even though he's calling it a hotfix update, there are some functional changes here. Some that I actually was affected by, like this one here, where they couldn't build 4x4 floors from adjacent floors and needed closer access. I think I was hit by that bug building up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get into the game. And also this one here, there's now a chance of receiving a small rock when digging soil. That is there in order to keep you from going into a loop where you can't dig because you don't have tools to dig with. And you can't make tools to dig with because you don't have small rocks to use to make the tools. And you can't get small rocks because there aren't any anywhere on the ground and anywhere you can make your people go to. So you kind of get into the point where you can't go any further. So by allowing you to dig and get small rocks, then it keeps you up with a supply of small rocks. So yeah, let's go ahead and click that, and we'll jump into Wally World. And you can see I've done a little bit of, I've already opened up a few biomes, so we're going to take a look at those as we go. So here we are in Wally World, the world we played the whole series in. Other than that very little bit at the very, very beginning. It is nighttime now, which I figure was a good time to do this because then they're not off wandering around too much, and I don't have to try and keep track of them very much. So we're here. I have made the warehouse bigger. It is now a 4x4 building. It is full of stockpiles now, so whatever that is, 8x8, 64 stockpiles. And this is what I was talking about here. In order to build these upper roofs, you would actually build a staircase to a platform to a staircase to another platform, and then build platform out to where they could get near enough to these corners to build these upper roofs. And there was a little bit of weirdness with building up those platforms. So hopefully that's fixed in that update. I don't know because I did all this before that update came out today, obviously, since I showed it on the screen. But yeah. You notice this huge pile of flint here. As far as I can tell, I got those from digging also. And specifically, I got them from digging out here in the clay. As you can see, the rest of the clay is going to be too steep, so we'd have to level off the ground next to it in order to dig that out and or clear out some of this limestone and rock that's here. Obviously, I didn't do that. I was also going to dig over here and didn't do that either. Didn't need to either, because all that clay went into making all of this brick for the brand new house. There's no more house over here. There's now just a giant freaking hole. What's that? Oh, chicken. This hole is now all dug out as far as it can go. Everything is reporting too steep. And I also learned while I was doing this that you can select them all again and clear the order, and it'll clear the orders for all of them. So keep that in mind if you need to clear a bunch of orders, that you can do that as well. So in here in the house, I did a tile floor, so because I thought that would look nice. And then I did a tile walkway up to it like we did with the other house. 2 torches outside for decoration. And then here I wasn't sure, and I may change my mind in future builds and do a double high ceiling here, because this seems awfully close. Now, if you watch the people walk, they are shorter than the ceiling, so it seems okay. From a functional standpoint, like when we see them come in here to go to sleep, as this one here, Tepa, is doing right now, and more now, because it's getting to be nighttime now. you can see that they're a little bit shorter than the ceiling is, but they're barely shorter. So I would say these are like 6-foot ceilings, given its prehistoric man, maybe a little less. So maybe we want to do double high walls and then have the next floor be at the next height kind of thing. So maybe we'll do that in the future. And here's what's the remnants of, or what I needed to build in order to build these upper roofs here also. I did this one a little bit differently because it's a longer building and narrower building. It's only 3 by 5, so the shape is a bit different. We have a I used the regular tent roof here, and then the end caps like that, which I thought was kind of a nice way to build this as well. So we kind of have a couple of different building styles here that way too, so I could show that off a little bit. But I ended up having to do this kind of spiral, in a way, staircase here in order to get up here. I have 25 people. There are 18 cots here made out of alpaca wool because it's the darker brown wool, and then I have 4 more over here made of alpaca, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 made out of the mammoth wool, which is the lighter brown wool. So obviously we have a few beds left over. What's that? 3 beds left over. Let's see, 18, 8 is 26. I should have 4 beds left over. Oh, there's a couple over here. Well, wait a minute. Huh? 25. I should have 5 beds left over. There we go. Okay, so that's that. What else did I do? I also extended out the paths. This path here goes all the way down here and then turns to go where the clay is. This was a lot more work than it should have been in terms of time. Like, I spent many, many moons, somewhat literally, although there isn't a lunar cycle in this game, just a solar cycle. Many, many moons working on these paths. And you can see they're actually still working on this one. But it seems to take them an inordinate amount of effort to build them. So hopefully he's able to optimize the building of the paths a little bit, because otherwise they're not really feasible. And speaking of that, all this stone here, I have 252 rocks in this stockpile, which is the maximum number of large rocks you can have in a stockpile. And I have another 231 here. And then I set this up to where we have the other colors, the other types in this stockpile. And I set the filters on these to be large rocks and only plain rocks for these two, and then large rocks and also plain rocks for this one. And then I set up a route called rock sorting, and it goes from this one here to that one there to that one there. So it always keeps this one full, and then it'll try to keep this one full, and then any overflow of any kind of rock will go into this one, but only the only place that non-plain rocks can go is in this one, because we don't have that many. I could obviously mine all that limestone we saw out there, and then we'd have more. I also have split log sorting over here, so we push to keep the one full. And then we have branch sorting as well between these two. And there are 263 branches in here. It's nearly full. I don't know what the maximum is on this, but it's nearly full. I have a crap ton of alpaca wool because I have to kill a crap ton of alpaca in order to keep all the people fed. We're also harvesting wheat, threshing, and turning it into flour. I need to do another harvest, actually, and keeping some flatbreads made. We have 28 flatbreads, so it's probably just close to time to do it. We do have a balafon now that took 3 pumpkins to make, which makes some sense because they're using gourds. It has the echoing parts underneath the plates there, so that's kind of a fun thing to make. I made that not long after the end of the last episode. Once I got enough pumpkins in, I had to turn off the ability to eat them, though, because the first couple that came in, they ate. I also have a pile of axe heads here. I had a lot more, but they've eaten through them, and I keep making them and keep eating through them, and that's largely due to the road making. Each tile uses some percentage, some durability off of or each segment, I should say, off of an axe, so it kind of took them a little while to work through that. For that reason too, it had to have a crap ton of them in order to keep them moving at a decent pace. A couple of hatchets I think are used for wood chopping. The pickaxes I think they were also using for the paths, as well as obviously the mining. And then the spears, of course, for the hunting. And I keep making more, mostly bone spears, because my thought on that was, if the bone can only be used to make knives and spearheads, then I should make bone spears. I also noticed, not there, but here, the regular stone spear has a damage of 2.0 and durability of 1.0. Means it can only be used once, I guess. I'm not sure. But the flint spears have a damage of 2.4, so they do another, 20% damage per throw, and they can be used. They have a durability of 2, and the same thing with the bone spears. They're the same as the flint spears. So I was like, well, why would I make flint spears when I can make bone spears? And then I can use the flint for other things like pickaxe heads and even hand axes. So we have a crap ton of bones here. 154 bones in that pile, 90 flints in this pile. So yeah, I just figured that would be worth it. Another thing that I learned was how to fill soil. This sloped off pretty sharply here. I'm going to pause the game actually here so that they don't come out and start running around because I have something else I want to show. This fell off pretty sharply here, so I leveled it off a little bit, which I had to fiddle with. I had to fill this in here in order to make this, I think it was this one here, appear to be completely full. If I put one in here, then it was actually humped up in the middle, so I had to put it in here in order to level this one off, which is a little bit weird. It makes sense if you think about it a little bit, but it's also a little bit weird. So I fiddled with the filling. When you fill, you can choose the type of fill dirt: soil, sand, clay, or large rocks. And then when you choose the soil, you can choose the type of soil: poor soil, soil, and undiscovered. Sand has river sand, which we'll see in a little while, I think. Maybe. And a third type of sand that I don't know. And then the clay is clay, and large rocks, you can have all 4 types. We know this is green rocks, although I have not seen them yet. Maybe I'll look for them when we go into some of the other biomes. Let's see. So I also added more crafting stations here and took all the outside stockpiles down because we have 64 in there, so we don't need a lot of them. But I did also do, by the way, assignments so that these accepted only certain items. If I were to continue this game, I would probably have an outside stockpile or 2 that, I don't know if this would work exactly, but have anything that I have brought in from out in the world. Like we're harvesting pumpkins over there. Out here we were harvesting that wheat. Down here we're harvesting that clay. And out here somewhere we're also harvesting more pumpkins. I would have those brought into a shared storage here that accepts all, and then use the routes to route to all the different places that I would want that to go to. And then I would preferably have it go from one to the next to the next to the next, but I don't know that that would work. But if you've tried it, or if you get a chance to try it, let me know, by all means. But you could always do routes from here to the designated. So if I know I'm bringing in pumpkin, clay, wheat, and then also maybe like flint, because we're getting flint from the clay digging, maybe axe heads as well, things like that they're going to be bringing back from out in the world into here. Have the stockpiles out there all just pointed to this one, and then have it be pointed at the places where all those things go. And then you'll get a little bit better throughput, I think, on the routing. Or you can even do a couple here, but have it be limited in terms of the routing, so you're not routing directly from here to one of these, maybe. Plus, you could have one out there that's like random items. Like, you don't want to necessarily designate just flint. You could say, accept all. And then that could be, they could put flint in there, or they could put the axe heads in there, for example. So that's just a couple of ideas. What else did I see while I was here? Oh, so the other thing I wanted to do was show how the zoning seems to work. This might be a little bit further than we were able to get before with the path being here, but not much, if any. However, once these folks all wake up, once these folks all wake up and the sun comes up in a minute, they lit up the fire again so they can keep making the alpaca meat. And while they're doing that, I'll talk again about something else. Mammoths are jerks. If you are around them, especially if they come near your house, I don't think they're necessarily, but if you're out in the wild with them, especially if you're even hunting alpaca instead of them, they will attack you, and they will injure your people, and they will kill your people, either directly, immediately, or they will die from their injuries once they make it back here to town and they go lie down in their bed to recover. They'll die. I've had at least 2 or 3 people die from mammoth-induced injuries. which is not nothing. And I've had a bunch of people die from old age too. Even though there's the relationship thingy here, could I do it this way? Yeah, the family thing here, it's not ready. The family relationships are still known in the game, behind the scenes. So like this Emisulan, which by the way, we can rename these. So maybe another future series, I will actually name people after supporters of any kind, really, whether you are a supporter somehow financially or just by coming to and watching and commenting and coming to the premieres, coming to the streams, watching, commenting, things like that. As long as I know who you are, kind of thing. Then obviously, if you're watching quietly, then that's another thing altogether. But like we know who that person's parents are. They may also have friends that are documented somehow here as well. Go back in there. And then obviously their inventory too, but this stuff is known behind the scenes. So when somebody dies, their closest friends and or family will mourn them. And they will be red for a day or whatever, how long it is. Their icon, that is, will be red instead of green or yellow. Just like when they get tired, it goes red. They'll potentially go red as well then. Okay, so next thing, I wanted to come back out here now that these people are moving out here. And if you kind of remember where we got to slightly out this way, I think it was right about here. Yeah, it was right about here. We can now actually get all the way out here to the water. So not so much the paths themselves, but the presence of tribe members expands your borders. So conceivably, and you could also order one of them to come to the edge of wherever you can go, and that'll expand it out however much further, and then you could go that much further again, and on and on and on. There is nothing really to do out here in the water other than to pick up sand and rocks, of course. There is no water-related tasks. All this that's the water here is just reporting the sand underneath it. So if you need sand, coming out to the beach is a decent idea. But you don't really need sand for that much other than making bricks. Oh, here it is. Here's the other kind of sand, river sand. That's one of the other types of sand. Oh, and I was going to also show you the other types of soil, which we did actually notice back here near town. I know where there's some. Out here is some rich soil. And I believe, based on my astute deduction skills here, if I had filled in an area of ground here, so let's say I dug out the soil that's here, and then I filled it in with rich soil, I believe then that is a patch of rich soil, because I filled these in with soil and some of them were underneath were poor soil. I filled them in with soil. So then I think if you planted on that, you'd probably get a better yield on some of your crops and or trees. I don't know that for certain either. I didn't actually try it. This was an idea that I had actually earlier today, the day that I'm recording this, so I didn't actually get a chance to try it, and I needed to get this recorded today, so I didn't get any time to do it. But I think that's mostly what I wanted to show off on this world. That's all the updates that I did, things that I noticed, and the generic things that I could talk about, generic to all worlds, or the gameplay in general. So I think what we're going to do now is pause for a moment, and I will bring you back in with another world. Be right back. And welcome back. Now we're in a tropical savanna biome. I actually let them get started on some work here, so they started gathering some hay, cutting the grass here in this biome for hay. It's already dry, so they don't have to let it sit and dry for a little while, which is kind of an interesting thing. Other interesting things are, of course, the trees, bamboo, and pine. And there's a couple of different variations on the pine tree, maybe not in this biome. Here. This one here is another variation, but it's still just a pine tree. Here we also have banana trees for fruit, and I think that's bamboo, right? Still? Yeah, it's bamboo. So you gather the bamboo, you can gather seeds or gather the bamboo. You cannot chop these, I don't think. Well, maybe you can after you research or investigate, rather. That could be too. And there's some orange trees here too, so we knew of those already. And then back, where did I see them at? I was trying to take notes a little bit here. for things that I would like to show off. Ah, here they are. Willow trees as well here. So just some different types of trees available in different types of biomes. I don't know that I saw any... Ooh, what kind of branch is that? Pine branch. Okay. Any of the green rocks here, but I didn't look that hard. So there could be some of the large green rocks somewhere. There are a lot of corpses here. And not just in this one either. I'll show those in the other one too. The other worlds too that we go to. But there's an alpaca corpse here. And I think there's a mammoth corpse or two, which kind of amused me a little bit out here in the savannah. Maybe they're... Oh, there it is. Here's one right here. And I thought there was another one out in the actual savannah. Maybe they're on the other side of the river. They could be on the other side. Oh, here it is right here. So I just thought that was kind of amusing. And the savannah really is a savannah. Like, it just... everything's growing along the river. And then out here in the desert, it's just desert. So it's not desert, but it's savannah. So, but it is... I think it's rich soil still. And it's still clearable. And I think even out here, this is normal soil. Yeah, it's clearable. So we have a lot of rich soil here, and it's even made even richer by the presence of the river, which is kind of a nice effect. I was pleased to see that. And this is all river sand here. And by the way, there are heights there on the thing in the bottom left. So it tells you how high above sea level you are, which I didn't realize when I was looking at it in the other map. But you can see here that goes down to -1, -2. Etc. So you are below sea level. There are still raspberries here. I think there are gooseberries here. So there's not a whole lot of, I guess, true diversity of plant and animal life in the different biomes just yet. Red rocks here, yeah. But I was I was looking for boulders for the green rocks, but I'm just not seeing any here. So there's not a whole lot of biodiversity between the different biomes yet. I'm assuming that's maybe down the road a little bit. I mean, it works out fine for a game, but if you want some sort of realism, then I think it makes sense to put it in. But yeah, so we have some variety here in the tropical savanna. Some different things that we can see that we didn't see in the other biome, in the temperate biome that we started in. All right, let's go again, and we'll come back again for another biome. And welcome back. So we've moved over a little bit, geographically speaking, to a tropical rainforest biome, which contains pine and bamboo still. I think there's also banana here also, so there's not a whole lot of variation between the savanna and the tropical rainforest, except there's a crap ton of trees here, and it goes on for as far as you can see, whereas in the savannah, obviously, we only had trees that were in the grow zone, kind of near the river. There are, again, a lot of possible corpses here, maybe not, but I thought there were bananas here, and I thought there was one other new species of plant, or tree rather, specifically here. Maybe it wasn't here after all. I thought it was here. Thought there was another type of tree. These are oh yes, coconut trees. That's what it was. So we can gather coconuts also here in the tropical rainforest. So that is just another, obviously another fruit that you can gather, because there are no apples in either of these two biomes as far as I could tell. There's just oranges, so that gives you 2 fruits per biome. 2 fruit trees per biome, I should say. And then I think there's still both of the bushes still here in this one too. So you still have raspberries and gooseberries as well. I think that's all the diversity here. And I'm also kind of looking for a green rock, but I'm not really seeing them. But I'm not really surprised either. I honestly don't know where those are found. We have sand here, of course. We have clay here, of course. This is actually a decent starting spot, other than it being hot. In the summertime here, it's actually, well, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. This is actually a decent starting spot because there's a lot of trees, and we're on rich soil, and there's clay and sand nearby. Obviously, we'll find rock if we dig down just a little bit, and there's plenty of plant life to harvest, fruits to harvest, to eat, until you can start hunting animals. One thing I didn't see were small animals in these biomes. I don't know if there are, like there were chickens in the other one. I don't know if there are a small animal of some kind in this biome or in the savannah either. I thought I remember seeing that there were, but I didn't see any myself. If you know, by all means, put it in the comments. But I don't think I saw any small animals here, unless I just missed the chickens because they look like rocks. But I don't see any. Yeah, these all wait, nope. Those there's a chicken. Okay, so there are chickens here. There probably were in the other as well. I'm hoping they add some diversity there on the animals too. Chickens, alpacas, and mammoths seem to be the only animals, perhaps, and that's not very much diversity on the animal life either. So one more biome to take a look at. Let's pause and we'll come back into that in just a moment. And welcome back. We're here now in the icy biome. There's some variation for like icy tundra and things like that. It seems like the further north you get, the fewer the trees are. So I kind of went here just so we could have some trees, but obviously not a lot of trees. Plain rocks here. Nothing that looks green. They all look plain to me. More corpses, of course. There's an alpaca corpse. I think there were a couple of mammoth corpses around here too. Here we have pine. There are some birch in some of the other colder biomes, but I can't remember if they were all still technically temperate biomes, or if they were any icy or tundra biomes. If there were any birch trees in those too, but definitely pine trees here. Peaches, which surprised me, because aren't peaches a warmer climate fruit? But anyways, peaches surprised me. I wasn't expecting to see another fruit tree, but peaches and apples are here in the north, instead of apples and then oranges and then bananas and then coconuts. Yeah, here's another one of those mammoth carcasses here. A lot of carcasses. I still don't understand that, but that's, yeah. Anything that looks like a green rock? No. And unless it's like under the soil or under the rich soil, maybe there's green rock someplace. I'm not sure, but either way, it's it kind of is what it is. This doesn't look like a bad starting spot either here. Maybe not right where they're at, but maybe even. But up here on the hill, even with some clay and some sand. I combined sand and clay. And you can see here we're 662 meters above sea level, which is kind of interesting. And then let's see. So we're kind of in the mountains here. Is that apples? Yeah. So pine. It looks like the only, wood providing tree. Although there's the two variants there. And then of course mammoths and alpacas, and then probably our chickens running around here somewhere too. So not a lot of difference here either. Looks like beetroots. Yeah, beetroots. So there's beetroots too. I saw some berries off in the distance over here. Gooseberries, and maybe some over here somewhere too, maybe. Right there. Gooseberries again. I don't know if there's raspberries or not in this biome. So there's a lot of diversity in terms of starting places where what you want to see as you're playing the game. But there's not a whole lot of diversity within the places. Yeah, I see it. No, that's an alpaca. Once you kind of get in there and look at the biodiversity. But again, this is very early access. Just the first release version. Pumpkins there. So I'm expecting that there will be more to come. There's a chicken. Yep. In a very very soon type of fashion, because he said he's going to start working on content as soon as he fixed these few lingering bugs. So we're going to leave this here. We have explored, I would say, this game to a reasonable extent. We haven't covered quite everything literally yet, but pretty much everything. And I think this is a good place to leave off. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this game and want to come back and take a look at it again as more and more content is released, because I can see this game continuing not just in the Stone Age or in the primitive ages, because obviously they're talking about smelting copper and bronze, I think, in the next major update. So at that point we'll be in the Bronze Age. Copper and tin into bronze, I should say. So at that point we'll be into the Bronze Age, and so we won't be in the Stone Age anymore. But either way, we'll still be in primitive eras, and it'll be interesting to stick around with the game and see it, move through the Iron Age and into, some the later ages, and even a technological age, into modern times and things like that, and maybe even go beyond modern times. Could you imagine these cavemen launching rockets, for example? That'd be kind of fun. Expansion where you launch a rocket to the moon, maybe, and then you set up a moon colony. That'd be even funnier. But that obviously will be a long while off, even if it's within the scope of the game. So I think we're going to leave this here, and we'll come back to this game when the time comes, when the next, at least when the next major update, maybe, or maybe another feature like this, if some smaller updates come that we want to take a look at. So thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.